Good morning, everyone. Welcome along. Welcome to the Valley Challenge. We are here with Gilles, and it's just gone 7 in the morning, so the light's starting to spill across the yard here. We can see we've got a few apples coming along, about almost 500 litres of apples probably on each tree, so maybe in the next month or two we might get some to sell. You can also see our melons are coming along. While we're here, let's just run across, because we got a we found a couple of these pallets that we can struggle with at 95 kilos. We can take across to the garden. It turns out they're only 100 litres a pallet, so they don't last quite as long as I thought, but nonetheless they do last a minute or two, so we can just run across. You can see we've still got some grass on here that we cut in the first episode that we need to pick up, so that's definitely on the agenda today. And in fact, do I have to put them around the right way? No, well, we'll just leave it sitting there for now. I think there's another one on the ground. There's one leaning against something here. We've got to clean up over here. We put our... Whoops. Boy, don't know how I throw them that far, but I struggle to pick them up. We put our excess wheat from the little harvest we did last time into the mill, but we've probably got to clean up a little bit over there before we can use it. We've also got to put that straw that we collected, or that we purchased last time, in for the cows, so it won't take the bale. So Gilles pulled it out. He's got a little idea. Maybe if we cut the bale, always handy, don't go anywhere without a knife. So we've got our straw pile there. And I think what we'll find in the cow barn is if we pick it up with our wagon here and actually tip it out of the trailer, it's a little bit of double handling. Whoops. I think we'll find we'll be able to get it on the trigger. You might say, well, why didn't you just cut the bale inside? I don't think it activates the trigger in the same way, is the answer to that question. So let's just... Oop. And there we go. We can pick it up with the trailer easily enough. It's only a single bale, so it should only take a second or so to grab it all. It's almost got it. Almost cleaned up our mess. Just back up. We'll know we're done when we've got 5,000 litres of straw in the trailer. Looks like the sun is fully up, which is good. We can turn that off and lift the pick up. Now what I'm hoping... Now we wouldn't have needed to do this if we'd had a forage fork or a scoop or some point, so at some stage in the future we'll definitely need to do that. Now what I'm hoping is that the fact that we can overload the straw should mean that our whole bale goes in with the cows. Let's have a look. And sure enough, there's our 2 cows, and they've now got some straw. So the bedding is sorted. It'd be nice to get them onto TMR, given we're relying on them for their milk production, even though they have made a little bit of milk. So let's tackle a couple of those jobs first. Let's move this out of the way for the minute. So we've got, they're not going to produce manure until we can put down a manure pit, because there's not one as part of this barn. So what Gilles has been thinking is that a pretty handy spot for a manure pit is just here. If need be and it gets too ugly, we can put a wall across just to separate it from the yard, but this is about the furthest spot that we can go with. And if we pick up that level and kind of bring it out like so, and then I think dirt base underneath it, that kind of makes sense to me. Can't really afford the concrete. What's that look like? Yeah, there we go. Now, if we have a look in our buildings, silos, hoping that this one will connect. Only one way to find out. Let's pop you somewhere. At least it looks pretty level. It's only $500. And let's see if we can get some manure in there. It's not too bad. And it is connected to the small cow shed, so with any luck, that'll work as a manure pit. Looks like we could do with just smoothing it off just a little at the front there. Now, the other thing that he was thinking about in terms of getting this grass picked up is if we want to make some silage without all the extra gear, we could potentially do something. Why won't you rotate for me? There we go. So if we put a silage pit, and the tricky bit here is figuring out where he needs, how wide is he? He's about that width. We want him kind of along there. Maybe we need to landscape that down a bit as well. Just smooth that slope down so that when we put a little silo down, let's rotate you again. There we go, you're in the right orientation. I reckon that's the line we want. Just hopefully just on this side of the fence is where we want it. That looks pretty good. Now, we also then make you Same sort of dirt colour. That should make it pretty clear where we are. So hopefully now that gives us a bunker we can use, albeit on a bit of an angle, and a manure pit. Looks like we still do need some smoothing at the front of that pit, but we'll worry more about that afterwards when we just go to use it a bit. Let's see how we go there. Now the next chore that's on the list, we put a little bit of grain in the chicken coop. So let's grab some chickens somewhere. There we go. And I think we'll just get 4 of the mature chickens so they can start to breed. Doesn't cost us too much money. They'll be delivered for $20, so that'll be fine. And it just feels like we should get one rooster. Just because it's the right thing to do. It only costs us $6. So there we go. We've got some chickens that are now going to roam around and eat our grain, and won't produce a lot of eggs at the beginning, but they'll build up in numbers. The pen there can hold 47. So let's pick up a little bit of this grass that we've got and stick it on our new bunker, because the other thing that needs to happen today is we need to, if we're going to get our own grain to go in the mill, we need to be planting, and so we need to decide where on this field we want to make a pasture. It's a bit bumpy at this end, so we might keep this end for grass. And we saw from the soil test that we did last time that the better quality soil was down this end. So Gilles certainly thinking let's put some barley in. And we're going to need to get hold of a plough as well to be able to prepare this end of the fields. And that's not too bad. We're going to get a fair amount of grass. There's a little bit of hay left scattered around. Let's zip back. But I don't think we need any more hay for the minute. The other thing he's been looking at, given the success doing that contract, even though it took us a little while to do the harvest, he's pretty keen to keep going with contracts. There are some more available. They might be a bit time consuming, so it's going to be a bit of a balancing act to find enough time to get our own work done and to get contract. Must put that windrower away before we forget where it is. And we need to cut the cover on that mill. We'll do that on the next trip. What's that? We'll have a look at. There's plenty of stuff and rubbish around that mill area that we need to clean up to good grease on bearings and things to have any chance of producing any flour out of there. We'll go and have a look at that in just a second. So many things to do. But it does feel good to have gotten a little bit of income and got a few basic things kind of working. He's trying not to spend all his time focused on, you know, the financial challenges, and just sort of smell the roses a bit and enjoy how things are going. This is all right. We'll get a little bit of grass off here, so certainly looking like we don't need all this field to be grass at this stage. We could do with a little bit of maintenance on this wagon too. It holds, looks like it holds 9,500 litres, so let's see how that goes in our little bunker here. That seems all right. Piles it up in there. Okay. If we turn on our... Yep. So we can just make a bit of a stripe of it here and flatten it all down and cover it when we've finished picking up all the grass. So that's working pretty well. That's the second load, and we've only got a little bit more to put in, so this might work out quite nicely. No downside to driving over what we've got here. We need to flatten it anyway. The little ridgy track is doing a terrific job pulling everything along, so we'll just make not too big a pile there, because then we get stuck. Rightio. And just a little bit, won't be a full load for this last one, I wouldn't have thought. Just run around and pick up the bits where we see them. So we've ended up with 43,000 litres in the bunker. And we'll come back and compact that a little bit later on. Let's just duck back over. Probably need to think more about access here. Do we want a little access path? Probably not with our garden sitting there. Maybe the access road has to go between the apple trees here into the field now that we've put that manure pit in. Haven't looked in that shed yet. Don't worry about what's in through. Oh, there's a trailer in there by the looks. But what we wanted to do is just run across to that mill and get that sorted, but also take a run down to the store and see if we can pick up a plow. Oh, there is another pallet there. So let's see what we got here. Whoops. It's a little bit messy, but if we tidy a few things up, we can take you across while we're here, and that'll be the end of the pallets. We'll have to look into the cost of those when we're at the store, but hopefully those ones, why didn't that, will keep us going for a bit. Looks like there's a, might have to do a little bit of landscaping just to tidy up some of the mess that's around here. There's a shed. What's that hiding in there? What on earth is that? Whatever it is, it's been there a long time. And it's not from around here. That looks like... Jules reckons that that's one of his dad's projects. He hasn't seen that for years. I wonder if we can pull it out of there. When they were kids, they had a horse that he used with a couple of different tools to look after this meadow. What on earth is it? That looks like an old horse-drawn cedar that's had a little bit welded on the front to make it able to be attached to a tractor. I wonder, that could come in real handy. Let's take that across to the workshop. That'd be one more thing we don't need to buy if that's the case. Mind you, you wouldn't want to do too much of a field. It's not real big, but in terms of getting some crop in the ground just to start us off, that could prove very useful. I'll just drop that in there. And that might be a bit of a restoration project. But for now, let's run down the store and see if we can pick ourselves up a plough. Rightio. So in terms of ploughs, we want something small. How many horsepower have we got in our Rigitrack? We've got 68. So we can't go anything. We probably can get away with 85, but gee, don't really want to spend 14,000 if we can avoid it. What's this? 80 is better. 1.5 meters. And that's only 9,000. That's a little bit better. 60 at 1.2. 70 at 1.4. Maybe we give something like this a go. It's closer to our horsepower. We don't need to do anything to it. I think we'll give this one a whirl and just see how it goes. 2,500. It's a much better price for us. There's nothing else there, is there? Maybe this one. 1.0. It's a little bit more horsepower. I think we go with this guy at 1.4. Let's see if we can make this work. So let's buy that. It's going to get a bit of work if we can. Now, the other thing we needed to look at while we were down here was Pallets. Is this where we buy pallets? Euro pallets. That might belong to a mod. Oh, here we go. Pile of pellets from the Valley, the old farm. So $50. One of those 100-litre pieces cost us $50. Okay, so we know for the future, we don't need to buy any of them right now. We know for the future what they're going to be worth. Let's see how our plough goes here. Looks the speed. It's on there all right. Now, where are we going to put it is the question. Where are we going to put this field? Let's have a look. I think it makes sense. We're going to be, whatever we do to harvest it is going to be somewhat manual. So I think having, do we want 2 crops? I think we probably want to aim for 2 crops. So perhaps if we aim to keep sort of this end we've got a tree about halfway up and our garden's about here. So if we kind of go to midway up our garden and leave the end to be grass, we could do 2 skinny-ish fields and just see how that goes. Let's have a look at our recipes and our productions. So our apples are doing fine. In order to make donuts, we need sugar. Maybe early on, so we need quite a lot of sugar, which is not surprising given they're sweet. We're going to get a few eggs. Maybe our first product becomes bread, which just needs flour. And flour we produce from barley at a pretty reasonable clip. So maybe we just put a heap of barley in at this stage. Maybe we just do 1 field for the first year and see what sort of yield we get on the barley. I think that might be the go. So what that means, I think, is we probably want to run up the edge here. We've got enough room to get a vehicle up the side, just in case we still want to get through there. Might even put a little small road down at some point. But if we turn on create fields and put you down, that seems to work all right. The Ridgy track seems quite happy pulling him up there. Let's just stay on the field. So the section it carves out is just inside the right wheel. And I think we go to about here. Let's see. We didn't drive very straight up the side. That was our problem. Let's just mark out the top end. It's looking like the angle. And we need to keep enough room to get in the back of the barn if we need to. That's probably the spot around about there. And just run down the side of our pit, I reckon. Feeling like the way to go. You can sort of scooch around here and still have access. In terms of putting crops in, when do they have to go in? This is all a bit new. Well, so we need to be getting the barley in the ground before the end of the day, really. So it probably puts paid to being able to do any contract work, but it also means we need to get in and see if we can fix that planter up and get a hold of some seed. It's just one job at a time. Shoot up the edge here. That should work nicely. So let's do a few runs and we'll check back in with Gilles in just a little bit. So Gilles been making some laps up and down the field here, as well as things are going. He's got a half an eye on the clock. And conscious that whilst there's enough daylight certainly to get this field ploughed out, it doesn't mean he'd have enough, and he doesn't want to necessarily be trying to plant for the first time in the dark. So, and he's leaning towards is to do a couple more rows and then duck across to the workshop and see if you can get that seeder operational and at least some seed in it so that we could get at least half this spot seeded with barley. It's not what he was originally thinking, but it's not the end of the world either, because potentially then he gets another planting window, maybe for a different crop. You know, he could put in oats or sorghum or something in the other half in the spring. So for now, it's looking like he'll kind of keep ploughing till just after 3, and then we'll go and take care of the seeder. Those shadows are starting to get pretty long across the field. We'll just tidy up the last little bit. Let's get across to the workshop and see what we can do. It's not too expensive. Can't do much about the paint. But it looks all right. Let's go and stick some seeds in it and see what we can do. No doubt raise a couple of eyebrows ducking into the dealership to buy some seed with an ancient device on the back of an electric tractor, but Jill's been never terribly worried about what everybody else thinks. As far as he's concerned, this might just get the job done. So let's get some seed. Got no idea how much this will hold. We should be able to scoop it out over here and we'll come back and get the bag of seed a bit later on. $85 litres. Okay. So barley set. Let's see how we go. Put you down. And away we go. Looks like it's been doing it all its life. Being a bit wider than the plough, it's going in just fine. There you go, old meets new. Terrific. If you can just drive in a straight line there, Gilles, you'll get this job done in no time. Potentially with this in the ground, I mean, we haven't done much to prep. We just ploughed it out and threw it in. We've got a lot more reading to do on how to get crops sorted, but at least we're growing something potentially. And we've got the ability to turn our mill on, maybe. We'll probably investigate that next time. We've got a little bit of milk coming and some eggs, so, and some apples. So before Christmas, there's every chance we'll have a little bit of produce. And maybe that will be the spark that Madeline needs to get a bit interested in life again. We haven't had a look at contracts today. We might do that in just a minute, just to make sure if there's an opportunity to do a little bit of extra work. He recalls from his time heading away to university and the like that this time of the year was often, you know, good. He could come back on midterm breaks and do a little bit of work baling and the like. So maybe there's something on offer. Let's just tidy up this headland across here before we head back down the other end and do the same at that end. That's nice. So there's one little spot we missed, just a smidge just here. That's it. And straighten up this bit. He's feeling good about his call to leave the ploughing of the rest till next time. Just feels like that was the right thing to do. Let's scooch around here. Let's get that finished there. Back up and pop something in there. Just before we finish that lot up, let's have a look at the contract situation. Seeing as we haven't taken one for this month, there are indeed a heap of baling contracts. And we're certainly not going to do any more harvesting, I wouldn't have thought. And especially as cotton, corn and sunflowers aren't particularly interesting to us. We don't have the equipment necessarily for fertilizing, so, and it's going to draw on our cash. So I think baling's the best go. And the fields are all in the high numbers. Let's have a look at the map. It's all the baling. Okay, so this is why all the grass fields are down this way. So this was the field that we harvested, field 10. Field 8 or 88 might be kind of interesting. What are they making on those fields? And what is the equipment? There is a contract on field 8 with for hay though. What's field 88? It's a little bit bigger. It's a good set of equipment. And it's silage. I think we're going to borrow the equipment and we'll deal with that next time. For now, let's just pop into our bunker for a second, just to see. Okay, so we just need to do a few trips backwards and forwards. We'll take the cedar off. It's not going to add much. We could probably do with a weight or a roller to put on the back, but we haven't got anything suitable at the moment. So let's put our cedar away so we don't damage it. And we've got our first apples off the trees. So we're going to need something to move pallets next time, as we will have some apples to sell. It's feeling like progress. And that's where we might leave it for today. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, stay safe, have fun. See ya.